Hello, today is the 26th of September, almost forgot what month it was there. The 26th of September, Wednesday the 26th. I tried recording this on Monday, but various things conspired so that I didn't get it done, including notably talking for 10 minutes and then realizing I hadn't actually hit record. I thought I hit record, I had not. So that did not happen, but I did natter on for quite some time successfully about what I was knitting. If I can figure out how, I will try to tack it on at the end of this video. So if not, I was knitting, and it's basically the same things I was knitting last time. And that's all there is to say about that today. One of the things we did on Monday was I got Christina to what's called Enjoyable, which I'd never really heard of, but some of the other mums said, some of the other P1 mums said that their children were in and they enjoyed, and it seemed Christina would like to do more activities, so I thought I will see if I can get her into this class. And I couldn't find, I tried Googling for it, and I found an Enjoyable class in Smithton, which is another kind of neighborhood here in Inverness. And I found a big Enjoyable website where I entered our postcode, and it said the closest one is Nairn, which is a 15-minute train ride away. And I couldn't find information for the local one other than where it was. The website for the hall where it is listed the time and absolutely no other name. Enjoyable, a time, no contact information, no description. So I was talking to one of the other mums. I'm now watching a spider climb up outside. Oh wow, that's a very big spider. I was talking to one of the other mums when when Catherine and I went to the Bay Playgroup, which is in the same hall. And it is a really big spider. Anyway, and it turns out her older child is in the Enjoyable, and she was like, oh, the class is full, there's a wait list. But I thought, we'll just go anyway. If a child's not there, maybe they'll let her try the class, see if she likes it. So anyway, we went, and the person who's running it said there were 2 people who hadn't been showing up, so there should be a space for Christina. She let her do it. I came back an hour later when it was over, and Christina just absolutely fell apart. Cried the whole way home, was very upset, wanted to play with her friends, which is the complaint we've been having after school every day. She wants to play with her friends. She said it was basically just indoor football, soccer to the Americans, and she did not enjoy it. Kicking a ball for an hour is not fun, blah, 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 blah. And I'm absolutely certain that if I mentioned this to the lady who was running the class, that she'd be absolutely surprised that Christina did not enjoy herself, because Christina tends to do just fine, and then she's not fine when we're around. So we won't be doing that again. Her kind of best friend in her P1 class was at Enjoyable, and Christina wanted to know why her friend liked the class when she doesn't. And I'm like, baby, I've been telling you, some people like some things and other people like other things, and that's good. That's the way it's supposed to be. Not everybody likes the same things, and that's okay. You should just be glad your friend has something she likes, and we won't have to do that anymore. So we're looking at signing her up for some after school hours instead, so she can stay. It'll be more like nursery in the after school care, where you can kind of just play with your friends. One of the neighbor boys is in it, so at least one person she knows will be there. So we'll look at that and see if that's maybe more of an activity she would like. We did go to swim lessons last Thursday. She had her first swim lesson, and she loved it. She didn't cry going to school on Thursday or Friday or coming home. She was calmer all weekend. So that's kind of why we're thinking she needs more activities, if not necessarily more sports. And we'll see how that's going. Catherine is loving the playgroups on Monday. We didn't have it last week because there was no school, but we went the week before and we went this week, and she's a little shy to start with, but then she plays really nicely, and she's just a happy-go-lucky baby. There are other mums in it who have, and one grandma who have kids Christina's age who largely go to Lacardal, the school, and the name of our neighborhood. There are, and then they've got smaller children or grandchildren who are in the playgroup, so it's people I can talk to about how the older ones are getting on, how the younger ones are developing. There are some people there who have their first kid and that kind of stuff. So it's meeting new people who live nearby and connecting more with not even old people, because I haven't known a lot of the other mums for Christina's age group, but connecting with other people in a similar place who live in a similar place. So that's working out well for both of us. And she has gymnastics on Fridays, which she's doing really well in. I signed her up for it. It's at a place I'd not been to before where it's a bit of a walk, and it's through the local leisure center program, which we're members of. They do the swim lessons and everything, but it's not at the local leisure center. It's at a slightly larger community hall in a neighborhood called Hilton, and there's a cafe there that actually has a big soft play thing with slides and various climbing structures. So we went there a bit early last time by accident more than anything else. I forgot what time the actual class was, so I raced to get us there an hour early. So I had a bit of snack. They have a £3 minimum spend in the cafe to use the soft play, and Catherine got to play for a bit, and it was very pleasant, so we'll definitely try that again. But Catherine's really enjoying the class. I was a bit surprised, having signed her up for it, that it's actually like a competitive gymnastics class, and obviously starting with the 18 months old like Catherine, there's not a lot of, and this is what you do to get points. It's more, let's get familiar with the apparatus, but the teacher does occasionally be like, oh, and you do this to get the points. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a thing. But Catherine's really enjoying running around. I don't think she's bothered either way about the other babies. Christina was never wild about other children at that age, but Catherine is running around, and she even does some of the stuff, but she just runs around the whole time, and that's nice. She really enjoys it. When I tell her it's time to go there, she happily gets in the pram. So that's what Catherine's doing right now. That's what Christina's doing right now. Christina's actually on a field trip right now. They went to the Cromarty Lighthouse. The entire school is studying beaches and oceans right now. I know some of the other older kids were doing stuff about the Titanic, and in the nursery they've set up like a beach corner. So at various levels for the different ages, they're doing beach related things. So they're going to see the lighthouse, and hopefully that'll be a good experience for her. So yeah, I'd like to take Catherine swimming, but I haven't really managed the last 2 weeks, we took the taxi, Christina's swim class is right after school, and we could probably walk it in the time, but the bridge across the river, the pedestrian bridge, is closed right now for repairs, so we got a taxi, because the road goes much wider around and is a much longer walk, but we got a taxi. And when the taxi came around the corner and Catherine could see the leisure center, she made a very happy kind of yell and started clapping. And I was very sad for her that it wasn't her swim time. But having established that I don't have to be right there by the pool for Christina's swim lessons, I think I may try this time going swimming with Catherine. We'd only get maybe 20-25 minutes to swim, but that's better than not going swimming, and since we'd all be there anyway, so yeah, that's think that's what we'll try. I've done so much running around yesterday and the day before, that I don't think I'm up to it, and I'm getting a bit of a cold. My throat was a bit sore. Christina's been coughing for a while. Chris has been feeling under the weather for a while. So a bit of a sore throat. Decided not to do too much today. I'll apparently just sit here and talk to myself. Hello, my name is Jennifer. Today is the 24th of September, and I will be talking about my knitting, a bit about my life, anything that takes my fancy really. So last week I kind of did a more in-depth coverage of just all the things I've been knitting. The week before I talked about what makeup I wear on a regular basis. Today will be knitting and maybe hopefully get to the things I'm currently reading and watching on television. So first up is my LLL Jumper, my LLL cardigan by Emily K. Williams. And this orange stitch marker is where I was. My last video was Wednesday last week, so Wednesday to Monday. I didn't get a bunch done. I did work on it one day. I haven't had a lot of time after my babies go to sleep to work on it. I consider myself lucky if I get one there and back after they've gone to bed. But I've been from there to here. It's a lot of stitches. It's all in one piece. It's an A-line jumper. I'm almost to the point where there'll be a pleat, so there's extra fabric for the pleat. There's a lot of stitches here, and I'm also alternating every other row. I've got 2 threads here. This is where I introduced my second color. I finished 1 full skein, so I'm currently knitting with ball 2 and 3, and you can see it's a bit variegated even below that point, but this just makes sure that if there is a variation in color on one of the skeins of yarn, that it's not going to be super obvious. So there's a lot of stitches. You have to change yarns. This is a big project with slippery wool. I haven't gotten a lot of work done on it. But you see, this is where we started the short rows for the bust, which is where I was last time. I'd finished one side on the short rows of the bust and just started the second side. And when I started the second side, I realized that while I was doing that, I forgot to do the neckline decreases for the front of the cardigan. I'd only just started the neckline decreases. I don't think it'll make a difference in the overall appearance of the jumper. So I've got some, you can kind of see them. They won't be as visible after it's blocked, but these are where short rows you knit a certain distance and then turn around and then knit and turn around. So these are just the places where I did German short rows as the pattern recommends. So these are just the little bumps that'll even out when it's washed and blocked. And so that's the row where I did that. So I've done 9 lace repeats. I'm almost done, about halfway through the 10th lace repeat here. And then it is short row shaping on the back to give it extra length. And then you put the pleat in, and then it'll be to separate, and you knit the 2 fronts and the back up to the shoulders, seam those together, and then do the sleeves. And then it'll be the neckline, which is knit all in one piece, so it'll be all at the front neckband, all the way around the back and down the other front neckline. And then the pattern says to do a ribbon underneath it for stability and put fake buttons to do poppers, snaps in the US, so that it pops together, it snaps together, but it doesn't have real buttons. So I'm really close to this one being a much faster project when I have that done. So there's that one. I did work a fair bit on my Leah Shawl by Martina Ben. Probably pronouncing that wrong. I apologize. I am not good with names. I'm also mildly dyslexic, so I get letters in the wrong place, and then I really screw it up. But I was at 5 of the repeats for the lace last time, and I'm almost at 10 now. So you can really see kind of the shape of the shawl. I did notice I had dropped a stitch. I've got it held just with a safety pin, a removable stitch marker in the back. You can't see it from the front. When I'm done, I'll just take a little bit of yarn and sew that in so it won't move. It'll be 28 repeats in total, and I've done almost 10. And you just knit. I've done the stripes, so now I'm just knitting up and down on the lace, and then every time you get to this end, you knit it together with one stitch, which binds it off here. So that one is making good progress. Those are both with yarn from Ripple Craft. The teal one, Libby has come to say hello. The teal one is Sylvan in the Summer Locks color, I believe. And the purple and silver is Cochrane, which is Bramble Picking and Moon Shadow are the two colors. This is Libby. Libby is very much a lap cat. Usually Chris's lap cat. No bum, no cat bum. And I did spend one good day working on my Rumsfeld vest, which when I was talking about it last Wednesday, I've got a stitch marker that shows where I was. But it was just starting this first heart section, and I'd gotten to, oh, here's my stitch marker. I'd gotten to the second section, the second row of these hearts, and realized my first row, about a third of the way into the row, I did the wrong thing. My stitch count got off. So everything after that was wrong. I had to rip back all the way and then redo it, and it was a bit frustrating. I would ideally like to do half the pattern repeat. The pattern repeat is the hearts at the bottom, and then the X's and O's, and then offset hearts, and then you can kind of see here's the start of an O, which is over the X, and then the X is over the O, so it's offset, and one pattern repeat is both. But I'm hoping to do about once a week, do one set of hearts and one set of X's and O's. This is what I've done since last Wednesday. I haven't really been working on this a ton. I worked on this on Saturday, which at least got me up to here. And then again on the first row of doing the X's and O's, I noticed I'd done about a third of the row where I'd gotten offset, so I had to rip that back. I need to pay just a little more attention each time I start a new, like once the pattern is established, it's easy to go, but that first row, we're starting the new pattern, it's easy to get off, and then everything from there will be off. So just have to pay a little more attention on that row and that row as I'm going. I should also mention I don't normally paint my nails. I was helping Christina paint her nails yesterday, and I pulled out this bottle of red polish, and I thought, I know I tucked this into the zippered pocket of the bag that holds the nail varnishes because I didn't like it, but I couldn't remember why, so I tried it on, and I don't like it because it's a matte finish. I don't know if that's even focusing. Focus. Anyway, it's a matte finish instead of a glossy finish, and I don't like it. It's already chipped. Nail polish chips, that's why I don't wear it. Libby is still in my lap. Look up, look up, look up. Not at me, look up at the camera. So that's what I'm working on with those. The one project I didn't show last week is this, which is a pair of socks in West Yorkshire Spinner, one of their cocktail ranges. I think this one's called Blue Lagoon. And this is the last sale of yarn I got from Isla of Brit Yarn in her closing down sale. And you can see that's my my stitches on the separate yarn for the Afterthought heel, which I had to rip back to previously because because it wasn't high enough up, and then that was like right there, and then knit it up a bit and put it in. And if you look at it, this is the toe flat, and it is offset by a couple of inches, and I'm already that much fast, and I really just can't rip it back again. I'm just not in the right spot to do it. It's not that many inches off. It'll twist a little bit on my foot, but I don't think it'll be a problem. And I mentioned my gauge had changed between the first sock and the second sock because I've switched to using these really tiny, just a really small circular needles. I was magic looping it, which is when you have a much longer needle and you get the wire, the cable sticks out on both sides, and then you don't do things like put the heel in the wrong spot because you have half the stitches in the front and half the stitches in the back. So obviously I need to pay more attention to front and back if I'm going to be using these. But my first sock, my first real go using these small diameter needles, was much looser than this. So this one is more like I want it to be, a tighter gauge. So they're a slightly different width, but I can live with that. And then this is the blue raspberry color, which doesn't quite match any of the colors in the sock, but I think it looks fine. So I've been working on these, and that kind of catches you up on my knitting. Libby is complaining about me holding my knitting and not paying attention to her. Yeah, so that's where I am on my knitting. Oh, this stitch marker is where I was when I started knitting yesterday. The girls both took a bath together, and I sat to make sure no one slipped and drowned, and I was able to knit kind of that much over yesterday. I think this dark blue bit I did today when Catherine, was at a playgroup. She kept wanting me to stand right next to her, so I didn't get a ton of knitting done today. So I may just knit while we talk. I am not the world's fastest knitter. I'm not the world's slowest knitter anymore. I used to be, but I have... Sorry, I heard something over there. I have improved my technique. I knit a little bit faster. I still have too much movement in my hands, which slows me down. So that was knitting. And this isn't any particular pattern of sock. It's just a vanilla sock, which is what you call an unpatterned sock. Usually a pattern where you have it kind of in your head. You know how many stitches to cast on, you know how long to make it, you know what kind of heel you're going to do, and all that kind of stuff. So you're not checking a pattern, you're just kind of going off what you know a sock to be. Some people have a written pattern they use, some people don't. I just check my previous project and see how many stitches I used to cast on, and then if I've knit a sock in the same yarn, I will just measure them against each other to see how far up to go to put in the heel, and then I like them to be the same length from heel to where the contrast toe is, where the toe shaping is before I do the cuff, so then the cuff would be the same, and they fold in half very nicely, but I find that's a good length for me, both for how long the foot is, that'll fit, and then how long the cuff is in proportion to the length of the foot. I like that. So this is just a vanilla pattern that I don't have to spend a lot of time on, which would also make it good holiday knitting for me. There's always the fear that you'll run out of knitting on a holiday, although now that I have children, that certainly is not going to happen. But the fear is still there, and so the classic knitter thing is to overpack how much knitting you take on a holiday. And for me, the easiest thing to do is just grab another ball of the same kind of sock yarn. I'll wind up using, sorry, that was my phone if you heard it buzz. I'll wind up using the same needles, so if I do finish one, I can just start another of the exact same thing. Sorry, a bit of an interruption there. I keep trying to talk about what books I'm reading and television I'm watching, and I don't think it's just going to work out this week. I need to organize my thoughts better and start earlier. But I did buy a journal, a notebook, so I can write down things about what I want to say and organize my thoughts a little better. And I think then I can talk more about those sorts of things. Oh, I did have my last day at work, so I am now just a full-time mom, stay-at-home mom. This is a really good thing for my family. I enjoyed working at the body shop, but I do not have a lot of spare time, and I certainly don't have any flexibility for covering extra shifts if someone's sick or on holiday, and they really need people who can do that. I need not to be asked to do that. So I stayed on until they found a replacement, and then she had given notice at her current job, so until her notice period was up. So my last day was last Friday. They had a special student night at the shopping center, and that's me done with that. So this last weekend with Chris, he didn't have to do as many hours of work to cover my going to work, and it was really nice to actually get to spend time with each other. We went out to dinner Sunday night. Catherine in particular was terribly behaved. Excuse me. So I don't think we should go out for dinner. Lunch maybe, when it's not so crowded and we wouldn't be bothering other people and there's a slightly more relaxed atmosphere, but not dinner. Not with Catherine. Christina always stayed pretty close, would play like under the table and stuff, but Catherine just wants to run everywhere, and she's a hazard to waitstaff and a distraction to other people having dinner. So other than that, it was a lovely dinner. The food was good. But the whole weekend, it was just so nice to actually get to spend time together as a family, with both parents home. So, and Christina got to go out with Chris and help him clean his office, which is something they used to do before he had to keep an eye on Catherine as well. So they had fun doing that. And Chris got to take some time to really clean his office, which always makes a more pleasant environment. So we'll see how this goes. I'm not currently looking for a new job, but in the future, when Catherine's a little older and or in nursery, we can certainly look for employment again. Christina keeps wanting me to promise I will never work again. Obviously, that's not a practical suggestion. So I think I'm going to call this a day, and I will talk to you next week. Okay, bye.